Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is 3:26 a.m. on this beautiful summer's eve. Saturday evening, going into Sunday, going into the 4th of July. It is currently 65 degrees outside. And I just woke up like 10 minutes ago. And here is my Diet Coke. I don't think this thing is closed all the way. I think I was trying to close it in the kitchen and I couldn't get it closed. Oh well. The moon has been so bright the last couple nights. Today was a really good day. Alex had some work stuff he had to do this morning.
Cancelled.
Canceled. Alex had some work stuff that he had to do today. And then I slept in a little while. Because I stayed up last night after I vlogged and listened to a lot of Mexican Gothic, which I finished today. Thank God. I did not love that book. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It was funny because Tanya finished it today too. And I said, oh, I finished it today too. She's like, I'm so happy I finished that book. I said, yeah, I wasn't like really in love with that book. I said I gave it 3 stars, which for me is really generous. On a book that I like, if it's a book that I really don't like, I have a hard time giving a book like a 1 star. Just I feel like if somebody sat down and like put a lot of effort into writing a book, and then on top of it, like if it is somewhat well written, which like towards the end I was like really thinking about the rating that I was going to give it, which probably doesn't really matter, but I was really thinking about it towards the end. And I was like, you know, I don't like, at first I thought this is kind of beautifully written, but I don't know that I really thought that. Like when I, like towards the end, I thought it's just kind of like a normal book. It's just like, I don't know that I feel like it's that descriptive that it feels like I'm, you know, reading prose or something, you know, that's just like this beautifully poetic language. It didn't feel like that to me. I thought the story was bizarre, which is kind of why it was called Mexican Gothic. I mean, I understand that. It was kind of supposed to be like a little bit like Edgar Allan Poe, you know, in Mexico in the 50s. But it didn't work for me. And it wasn't scary. It just was gross. And, I know the top is on there correctly. And it just was gross to me. And it was really slow. I mean, like, so slow that I was, like, more than halfway through the book. And I was like, come on, get to it. Like, what's going to happen in this book? So anyway, I finally finished that today. But I went to bed late last night because I drove around and listened to it for a long time last night. So I slept in today. And then when Alex got done with his stuff, he was like, let's go to the pool. So we went to the pool, but we went to the pool late. It wasn't very warm. And I mean, it was sunny outside, but it wasn't very warm or hot today in Indianapolis. I think as hot as it got was like 78. But we went to the pool anyway, and it was funny because, so it was like Alex and I, and then these 2 moms that brought their kids up there. I don't know if they live in the neighborhood or not. I think one of their dads, like, because they were probably like close to my age, maybe a little bit younger, the moms. They were like 40 to my age. And I would say the kids ranged in age from like 6 to like 14. And there was like 5 of them. There was like 2 older like boys, and then the rest were girls. No. There was like 3 boys and 2 girls. Or was there 6 of them? I think there were 6 of them, yeah. There were 6 of them because they were playing a game in teams. And they so reminded me of Caroline and I and Caroline's friends when we were kids. And I was telling Alex that because they were like coming up with all these different games to play. And when Caroline and I were kids, we would either go across the street to this woman's house that lived across from my aunt and uncle. And she was like, I think like a widow. And she had this little black poodle that was so cute. And so we could go over there and swim whenever we wanted. Her name was Bee. I remember she was so sweet. Caroline's always like, do you remember her, Bee? And I'm like, yeah, I remember her. And we could go over there and there was like a little side gate. And so we would go over there and swim for hours and hours and hours. And we would play all these games. And these kids were playing games today that they were like jumping in the pool games. And that's what we always used to play. Like, we would play, like, because this one, it was so funny because like the youngest little girl, like they were all jumping into the pool. And then like the youngest little girl, she would just like jump off like the side and hold on to the rail, like hold on to the side so she wouldn't sink down in the water. And Alex was like, is that who you were when you were a little kid? And I was like, no. And he was like, who were you? And there was this one kid that like, every time he would jump or dive into the water, he'd be like, or like this, or he'd be like this. He did all these different things. And I was like, I'm him. And Alex was like, really? And I go, yeah. I used to always do this thing where I was like the Fonz when we would jump into the pool. It was so funny. And we used to play this game where like you would run off, because B had like a diving board, and you would like run off the diving board, and then as you were running, everybody else would ask you a question, or somebody would ask you a question, and you had to like jump and answer the question as you jumped. And it would be like, what do you do before you go to bed? Brush your teeth. You know, like, what's your favorite color? Blue. And we used to play that. And we used to play jump or dive, which is like you run off the diving board, and as soon as you jump off, like somebody says dive or jump, and then you have to like, if you're like jumping, and you just like turn it into a dive, you know. They were doing all these different things, and the moms were taking pictures of them, and they did this thing where it was like they would each go like dive, 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 and jump, 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 and it just was real cute. They were coming up with like these games to play, and they're like, okay, let's all go down like pencils, and then we'll come back up and we'll get out as fast as we can, and then we'll jump back in again like pencils, or whatever way we want to, or something like that. It's just hilarious to me that they were so creative in coming up with these ideas. And then so it was just us with them. We were at one end, they were at the other end. The parents were like sitting in the middle, because like the dad or grandpa came up later, and then the husband came and brought something, and then he left, and they were talking about putting chicken on the grill. The pool's so small that you can hear everybody's conversations. And I sat in the pool for a long time. Alex didn't get in the pool because he said it was too cold. And he doesn't usually get in the pool a lot anyway. I mean, he's not like, I'm like a fish in the pool. I love to just play and dive under and sit on the steps and drink my coffee, and which I had gone and got us, well, I got coffee and he got a black iced tea. But Alex like gets into the pool just to like rinse off or cool off if he's like really hot, and if he's not, then he doesn't really ever get into the pool. And which it always kills me when I, you know, like my mom and my dad too, but like really my mom was always so good about getting in the pool and like hanging out with me and playing games with me and stuff like that. We used to play this chicken game where we would try to pull the other person underneath the water, and you had to put like one leg behind your back. And these parents never get in the water with their kids. Never. Like never, 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 never. Most of them aren't even in swimsuits. So then there was these two sisters that came. I have no idea how old they were. Probably they were in high school or something. I don't know. Maybe they weren't sisters. Maybe they were just friends. But they looked like they were in high school. But it was one of their... I felt like they were sisters because he was talking to both of them like he knew them both really well. But I don't know. Maybe they were girlfriends. Hell, I don't know. And then there was like this young kid with them that was probably 8 or 9, 10. And he was wanting them to time him while he would go underwater. And the one sister, or whatever she was, just sat on the chair and she was like, why don't we'll time you and see how far. And she wasn't even like looking at him. She was just like laying back, like looking at her phone. She's like, no. She's like, I don't like that idea. And he was like, please. And he was real sweet. He was like, please, won't you time me while I go under the water to see how long I can stay under the water? I used to do that when I was a kid too. And there's like a clock on the wall. I almost said to him, like, there's a clock right over there with the second mark on it, second hand. And she's like, no, I don't like that idea. Why don't you swim the length of the pool and we'll see how long it takes you. And he was like, but I want to see if I can go under. And so then the other sister, she like finally came to the edge of the pool and she sat there and timed him while he like went under and held his breath. And Alex and I sat up there and had real deep conversations about stuff. And then Alex's friend that got married, the one that he officiated the wedding, they invited us over for dinner tonight, like for cooking out. And they live in like a really small town, and they were doing fireworks tonight in that small town. And they live in a really cute area. It's like this housing addition when you pull in is like, I don't even really know how to explain it. It's like a little town within a town. And so it's probably like, I don't even know. It's probably like 3 square miles, maybe not even that. And all of the houses look like Georgetown and Washington, D.C. It's really cute. They're all like 3-story kind of like townhouses, and some of them are pretty massive and some of them aren't. Some of them are just really like normal sized. But it's so cute. And there's very Stepford looking almost, kind of. And there's like little stores, like little hair salon, little elementary school, a gym when you pull in there, but it's kind of like isolated away from everything else. And their house is adorable. I love their house. And so they invited us over for dinner tonight, and then to walk down to this field to watch the fireworks. So we decided we were going to do that, and I told Alex I wanted to make some videos, but by the time that we got back to the house, I really only had time to make a drama video. And so I posted the one from yesterday, and I posted the new one that I filmed for today. And then we got ready, and we went over to their house. I was going to take a shower, but I had been in the pool for so long, and then I came back in the pool to film the videos, and I just put some stuff in my hair, because my hair had, like, air dried, and, I smelled like chlorine. I love that smell of chlorine, and I was like, I'm just going to throw on some clean clothes and head on over. It wasn't like we were doing anything serious anyway, so I just put on, well, this shirt that I had washed, this little black Ralph Lauren shirt. And then I put on a pair of like these gray shorts, work shorts that I have, and some sandals, and that was it. And a watch. And we hit it. Oh, and so while I was filming, Alex went to the grocery store and he got pasta salads, macaroni salad, stuff that didn't have any meat in it. And then he also got me plant-based brats, because I was really craving a brat. And they had bought me Impossible burgers that they were going to grill out for me as well. People have been so nice about that. Caroline did that the last time that we went over to their house for barbecue. And Alex brought corn too, which ended up getting ruined. He forgot that he had put it on the grill because we were eating and stuff. So anyway, and then she made a huge salad that was delicious. It had avocado, and it had like sunflower seeds in it, and cherry tomatoes, and like big hunks of like mozzarella cheese. It was it was just really, really good. So yeah, we went over there got there at 8 o'clock. We were supposed to be there at 8. We like pulled up like right at 8 o'clock, and we hung out for a little bit, and then we like he grilled and was like done like that quick. So we sat down and ate and talked and whatever and caught up, and then this is the one couple that we went to Florida with, and so we were just kind of talking about stuff, and we went, and then we loaded up our stuff. They pulled a little wagon down there with chairs and stuff, and Alex and I both have these chairs that I bought, like I can't remember where we bought them, Walmart or Meijer or something, but they're like backpacks, but they have chairs, you know, like that you carry, and they're so comfy. So Alex had thrown those in my car, so we took those, put those on our backs, and we walked like 3 blocks to get there, and it was just beautiful. It was this large open field, and we had like a perfect view of the fireworks. So yeah, it was really, really fun. And then tomorrow, I don't know if we're gonna go to brunch tomorrow. I mean, we didn't really talk about it. It's supposed to be like 91 tomorrow, so depending on how busy the pool is, we might go to the pool. I hope it's not too busy, because I would love to go to the pool tomorrow, especially if it's gonna be 91. And then we're going over to Melissa and Jason's at 6:30. And I have to go to the store and buy a bunch of stuff, because, if we had known by the time that we were leaving today, we didn't know if we were definitely going over there tomorrow or not, but Melissa's like, what can I get you from the store? And I was like, don't worry about it, I'll get it. And I don't even know how late the grocery store is open tomorrow, so I've got to go. And I'd like to get like an Impossible Burger, an Impossible the brats that Alex bought were really good today. They were like plant-based brats. So, those, and then he asked me what I wanted, and I said I want some red skin potato salad, because it doesn't have any like bacon or anything in it, and I love red skin potato salad. He said that like literally both stores that he went to Fresh Time, and then he went to Kroger, and he said both were completely out of potato salad, which doesn't surprise me on 4th of July weekend. But my mom used to make a homemade potato salad. Oh my God, it was so good. It wasn't like red skin potato salad, but she did leave the skins on the potatoes, and it was like raw potato. I don't even know how to explain it. It was like raw potato, and she would leave the potato so that it wouldn't get like super soft, that it was kind of like, I don't know how, like, she cooked it a little bit, but she did something with it, I don't know. So it was like when you ate the potato in the potato salad, it was still kind of a little crunchy. And then she put celery in there, and it was so delicious. But I mean, she just made up the recipe herself. I don't have like a recipe for it. So that's what we're doing tomorrow. We're gonna go over to Melissa and Jason's at like 6:30 and then eat and stuff. And then I don't know if we're gonna go downtown and watch the fireworks. Melissa had mentioned something about that, or if we're just gonna do like set some off in their driveway, or I don't really have any idea, honestly. I mean, I've seen fireworks so many years after years after years. I think they're pretty, but if I never saw them again, I'd be completely fine. My dad like makes fun of fireworks. Like, he's like, ooh, ah. one's pretty. That one's my favorite. But that's actually what we were doing tonight. They were getting kind of fancy tonight, the ones that we saw. They had like dollar signs, and then there was like a bow tie. And my favorite are like the gold ones, like glitter like that. I love those. But, yeah, so I don't know, like, what our plans are for for all of that. I washed my jean shorts tonight, so I think I'm gonna wear my jean shorts tomorrow. You gotta wear jean shorts on 4th of July. It's kind of like a given. In Indiana, like, I don't know about other places, but in Indiana, like, 4th of July is such a huge holiday. It's kind of like Memorial Day weekend. It's like everybody gets together. I'm kind of surprised Caroline, is she out of town? She might be out of town this weekend. I can't believe we usually do something different on 4th of July. We don't usually hang out with them, but I'm surprised she's not doing something. She might be, I don't know. But 4th of July is a big, like, get together with your family and, you know, barbecue and on and on and on, like, holiday in Indiana. Go out on the lake. It's a big laking weekend. Like, laking. I just made that a verb. But, like, it is. It's a big boating weekend. Big, not fishing, but, like, boating. Like, you know, tubing and skiing and just riding around in a boat and stuff like that. I think Tanya and her husband have a boat, and they put it in Lake Morse, which is out here. There's like Morse and Geist. My dad lives in Geist, and there's like Morse. I think they're going out on the boat. She said they're either going to go to the boat tomorrow or they're going to go to like our country club thing, which she said is a lot of fun, but she said it's absolutely packed. And they throw like beers in the pool for the adults and like Cokes in the pool for the kids, and they have a live band playing, and they have food and all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. I don't love crowds. Crowds make me nervous. Like, I mean, I can be like in a huge crowd, but in a crowd like that, or like I have like a table and I'm sitting and stuff like that, like I don't like that. Especially when you have to get there so early, you know, to like get a place. So if Tanya calls tomorrow and she's like, we're at the pool and we saved you and Alex seats, then we'll probably go there. But otherwise, I think we'll just try for our little local pool unless that pool is so packed that we can't get seats there, and then I don't know what we'll do. Like, for me, it doesn't really matter because I can put like my bag and my towel in a corner and I can just get in the pool and I'm completely fine to sit in the pool for like 3 hours. Like, in all truth, like I can sit in a pool for like that long. But like I said, Alex doesn't like to be in a pool for that long. Like, he likes to lay out. So we'll have to see what we're gonna do. And he's completely content just to lay out on the back patio, not me. Like, I want to be in a pool. Like, I need to have access to a pool, you know. So that's tomorrow. I just started a new book. It's called Camp, and I'm on chapter 1. I'm 11 minutes and 42 seconds into it, and it's by Elsie Rosen. And it's about this kid that came out when he was 12. I've been like hearing a lot about this book. I can't remember where I saw it. Maybe Robbie Reeds put it on his BookTube or Bookstagram first. But it's about this kid that he came out when he was 12, and he every summer goes to this. He's 16 now. This is a young adult book, and every summer he goes to this like out LGBT camp. It's called like Camp Outland or something like that. Anyway, and he's always like the musical theater kid, and he's real flamboyant, and he has like a bag, a suitcase that has pictures or stickers of like cats with tiaras on it and stuff like that, and his name's Randall. But he decides that he's gonna go this year, and he's had a crush on this guy for like the last 3 years, and the guy's like real like athletic and kind of butch, and so he's like, I'm gonna land this guy as a boyfriend, basically. And so for like the better part of the year before, he's been like working on himself, like getting into shape. He's been watching like the jock kids at school and like imitating them. He cuts his hair really short. He wears this outfit. He changes his name from Randall to Dell. Yes, I learned all of this in 11 minutes and 42 seconds because he's like checking into the camp and then he runs into this guy. And so his goal is that he's gonna fall in love with this guy and get a boyfriend. I already know what the book's gonna be completely about. The whole book is gonna be about you know, don't sacrifice your true self for love kind of thing. And this guy's gonna probably be like, I loved you when you were just being true to yourself all along. Because like one of the things is like his camp counselor, when he checks in, he's like, oh, we're really excited about you. Like, are you gonna, something about him auditioning for the school, like the camp musical, which is like every year they do it, but they don't like cast in conventional roles. They just want like everybody to participate. So just like they wouldn't, I'm trying to think of like, you know, like they might cast, you know, a boy who's 6'4" as the part of like Annie or something like that if they did Annie, right? Which is kind of a cool concept. I like that. And so he's like, yeah, I don't know this year if I'm going to be doing the musical theater thing or if I'm going to even go do arts and crafts and make friendship bracelets for the whole summer. So I just know the whole book's going to be about, you know, compromising yourself so you can fall in love. Which, no, you shouldn't do. We learned that on Roseanne when Jackie was being somebody she wasn't so that she could land Fred. And Roseanne was so mad at her because Roseanne was like, he'll never know who you really are. And Jackie was like, if he ever finds out who I am, he won't love me. And Roseanne was mad at her. And then her and Jackie and Fred didn't make it anyway. So anyway, but I'm excited to listen to a little bit of that book. It was so funny. I woke up tonight and I was like throwing on my clothes and stuff, and I couldn't really see in the dark. And the boys, Boo and Tucker, they were both laid on the edge of the bed like this, like they were ready to like go outside and play and something. And I was like, we're not going outside, guys. Dad's going to vlog. So I'm like, stay. And I opened the door and I walked outside. A little update on Mrs. Birdie's baby, which I forgot to give last night, which is fine because there's even more of an update today. So, when was it? Two nights ago that the little bird sat there and stood on its nest from 6 p.m. until 5 a.m. and I was so worried because Mrs. Birdie never came and fed him, never like came and checked in on him, and I thought she just was done with him and he was afraid to fly. I got so upset about this, and Alex was like, this is why I don't want these birds around the house. He was like, you get way too attached, and then he was like, you create these whole storylines for these birds and you start believing them, and but like, he's like, no, seriously. He was like, Peter, he was like, things take care of themselves. And I was like, well, not really, not always. And I was getting very upset about this little bird that was just standing on the edge of this nest. And like, I didn't know where its mom was, you know? And what was weird was when I went to bed that night, it started like chirping or singing for its mom or what. Maybe it wasn't for its mom. Maybe it was just chirping because that's what birds do. I don't know. But I sent it to Alex and he was like, here we go again. And because I was like, do you hear it? Because I could hear it downstairs like when I was laying in bed. And it was like, I mean, and at this point it was like 5 something in the morning. It was like chirp, 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 chirp. Chirp, 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 chirp. Chirp, 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 chirp. So anyway, I was like, Alex, it's like really, it's like trying to call to its mom and its mom won't come. And I was like worried because I stopped. So anyway, okay. So that was going into Friday. So Friday, I check on the bird when I get up, and the bird has now laid down at some point in the nest, and it's gone to sleep. And at first I was worried. I was like, is the bird dead? But the bird was like sleeping in there, had like its little eyes open, and it was just like laying in the nest. Kept on checking on it a couple times throughout the day, and it would like move around and stuff, so it was fine, I could tell. But like I was really worried that, you know, like it was super hungry and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I was like, I don't know what to do, you know? And Alex is like, babe, it's gonna take care of itself, don't even worry about it. So I was taking the dogs out, and Alex had come home, and he came out on the patio when I was taking the dogs out back, and I started talking about the bird. He goes, Mrs. Birdie is feeding it right now. And I mean to tell you, I tore in there so quick. I like ran in that house. Mrs. Birdie was feeding the baby, so the baby was fine. So then last night, when I left to go vlog and stuff like that, and then when I came home, it was laying down in its nest, but its little head was like perking up, and it was like it was looking out, and so I could see its little eyes and its little, you know, beak and stuff, and it was like kind of like just turning its head like this. And so I said something to it when I walked out, and then when I came back in, I got so sad about this, you guys. So I said, hey, little baby bird. I said, you know, one of these days you're going to feel strong enough to just fly away on your own, and just know we love you, and that we're very happy that you felt comfortable to stay here with us, and you're more than welcome to come back anytime you want. I mean, I said this, something to this effect out loud, you know. So I got up today, and from the kitchen I looked, and I was like, oh my God, there's no baby bird. The bird, like, did it fall out of the nest? Like, what happened to it, right? And yesterday, I mean, it was pretty strong. It was like standing up and walking around the nest and whatever. And I was like, I think he's afraid to fly off the nest. And Alex, like, I think birds know when they're ready to fly. So, plus Alex was like, there's Mrs. Birdie right over there, and spotted her on the tree one day. And so he's like, she's keeping a lookout on what's going on. So anyway, I looked in the nest, the bird was gone. Then I thought maybe the bird had like fallen or something. So I'm looking all around, I went outside. The little baby bird was gone. And I got so sad about it. I mean, like, weirdly sad. And I took the fern down, and I couldn't even take the nest out of it. I just like watered the fern, and I watered all the plants in the front porch. And I have like such a hard time with like endings and closure like that, you know? I know it sounds crazy, and people are like, Peter, it literally is a bird that made a nest in your front porch for a few weeks. But it's like, that like consistent for me, like constant for me, is like I've always been like that ever since I was a kid, even into my adulthood. It just is like, you know, and even though I know this, like, the next time Mrs. Birdie comes and builds like a nest, you know, I'm gonna be the exact same way. Like, I know that. I guess I'm happy that I can feel something for, you know, little bird family, other than being somebody that could care less about that. If I'm going to care about something, I'd rather be the person that cares too much than the person that doesn't care at all about things in the world, you know? I think I've been like that for a really long time. I mean, obviously since I was growing up, but it was like with my ex and the goldfish Johnny. Like, I remember the night that Johnny passed away, which I've often kind of asked myself, like, because I never asked him at the time because I didn't know. Like, if you don't know the story about Johnny, so Johnny was this like betta fish that I won at the Jackson County Fair, and then it turned into us having like, no, I wouldn't say a ton of fish, but we had quite a few fish. We had 2 cloudfish named Joe Beth and Mary Rose. I named them after the book Help I'm a Prisoner in the Library by F. Clifford. And then I had this betta fish, this blue betta fish, it was gorgeous, called Johnny. I'm laughing because I said he's gorgeous when I mean we had 10 of them, and I didn't know that. So, like, betta fish don't live to be very old. Like, they don't do very well. And, so, look, I didn't know that. It sounded like I said, look, I don't know that. Like, I didn't know that, right? I didn't know that betta fish don't do very well, you know? And, I mean, I had seen these, like, betta koi fish pond things, and they were, like, you know, huge, and so I thought, well, it will turn into something like that. So I guess some of them do. I don't know. But anyway, we had a tank with a filter and everything in it, and I guess my ex would show up, and, like, from work, because he got home from work before I did, from time to time over the years. The period of Johnny being alive was probably, like, 4 years. 3 or 4 years. He would get home before me, and Johnny would be dead. And so he would call Tanya, and he would say, call Peter and see if he can come over there on his way home from work and keep him busy. I gotta go get another Johnny. So when we broke up, I said something to Tanya about, you know, like, I never cleaned that tank. Like, he always took care of that tank and everything, and how nice it was, and that he did all that. And I said something about Johnny, and Tanya, like, could not stop. Like, she couldn't, like, keep her laugh inside. She was like, pfft. And finally, I was like, what is so funny, Tanya? I don't think it's funny at all. Like, you know, like, I had this fish that I loved for, like, 4 years. And what had happened was, like, he got sick one night, and he was swimming on, like sideways. And so my ex put him in, like, another bowl with, like, a filter, like a small one, and called it his hospital room. And so, like, the next day, when I was at work, it was a Thursday evening, and I had family group, because I worked late on Thursday evenings till, like, 9:30 or 10. And I came out to my car, and I, like, immediately called him. And I was like, how's Johnny? And he, like, paused, and he was silent. Like, I'm sure I could start crying telling this story, and I just don't even feel like it tonight. And I said, how's Johnny? And he just was real silent. And I said, is Johnny okay? And he goes, no. He was like, no, babe, like, Johnny died. And I just, like, lost it immediately. And I was like, well, what happened? Where is he at? Like, what happened to him? And he was like, I took care of it. And I was like, what does that mean? What do you mean you took care of it? And he was like, I mean, this is, like, I know, like, in retrospect, to share this story, it sounds so corny, but it was, like, meaningful to me at the time. I don't know. I said, well, what does that mean you took care of it? Because I flushed him down the toilet. And I said, well, did you say anything to him? Like, to this dead fish? You know, did you say anything to him? He said, yes. He said, I said to him, thank you for being a good friend. We loved you, Johnny. And I lost it on the phone. And then I just was a complete mess. Therefore, my ex was like, we're never getting another fish. That was his answer to this. We're done. Your attachment to animals and things is too much. We're never getting another fish. So Alex knew this story. So with the Mrs. Birdie and everything, he's like, no, we're not doing this, like with the birds, because you like develop these stories and get attached to them and whatever. And I get it from my dad. I do, because my dad does this. He names the wild animals in his area. He names the squirrels. He names the birds. He names the ducks. He names everything, right? So, I mean, the whole time that I was growing up, you know, it was like, there was always, everything was named, you know? There was Mrs. Ducky, and there was, you know, Mr. Squirrely, and I mean, it's still like that. Like, when I call my dad today, I mean, my dad is going to be 81 this year, and I call him, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, Mr. Squirrely came back again this year, so I had to put out the squirrel food for him, you know? I mean, my dad still does that. I get it from my dad. And, so anyway, when I was talking to Tanya after we broke up, you know, I was like, I can't, like, he took care of Johnny for 4 years and made sure that he was okay, and Tanya's like laughing, like, to the side, and I'm like, Tanya, Jean, what is so funny? And she said, oh, Peter, for heaven's sake. She was like, she was like, how old are you? She was like, betta fish don't live 4 years. And I go, what are you talking about, Tanya? I can't remember exactly how she said this. If I, like, get off the story even just a little bit, people will say I'm being inconsistent. Which is so funny, talking about Tanya in this manner, because when I tell Tanya that, she's like, anybody that tells the same story twice the exact same way is a liar. She was like, nobody tells the same story twice the exact same way. But anyway, so I said, Tanya Jean, I go, what are you talking about? And she said, Peter, she said, there were about 10 Johnnies. And I go, Tanya, what are you talking about? And she said, every time, she said, he would come home from work and he would find Johnny dead. He would call me and tell me to call you and have you come over and, you know, keep you busy while he went to the pet store and bought another Johnny. She's like, I don't know what to tell you. And I was like, I was so overwhelmingly impressed by the fact that somebody would go out of that with their, I mean, I couldn't be mad about it. I couldn't be like, I mean, why would you be mad about the trickery of it all? You know, the betrayal of the fish. I just was like, that's a really kind, loving person that would go to those lengths, you know? I really seem to attract really kind, loving people into my life. Like, I just feel very blessed to have the people in my life that I do, you know? It's like, you know, I mean, he was wonderful to Alex, to Tanya, to my other friends, you know? And I have just to Mel, you know, to Melissa and Jason, to Tanya, obviously, you know, to Valerie. I have such wonderful people in my life that are just, like, truly, like, good people. And I feel like in our lives, like, in the world that we live in today, like, that is such a quality that is so overlooked in a person's attributes, you know? Like, we look at, I mean, we really do, let's be honest, okay? Let's not all act like we're perfect specimens of the world. I think when we're judging somebody, it's like their car, their career, their academics, their family, you know, their partner, their mate, their living area, all this kind of stuff. When none of that matters, like, I've gotten so far away from any of that, like, who cares, you know? And it's like, and that's not to say that you, like I always say, you can't like nice things. It's just to say that those are not the things that truly matter. They really aren't. Like, the goodness of a person, I think, is what really matters. And I don't know what I have done in my life to attract such wonderful people, because I don't think it's me, you know. I just feel like I have been very, very blessed in my life to have just really good-hearted people around me. The salt of the earth, caring, loving people, you know. And I don't take it for granted at all, the way that I used to. You when I was younger, and I was going out a lot, and I was in my early 20s and whatever, I was kind of consumed with this idea of needing to have, like, a lot of people around me. Or that the more people that I had meant the more important I was, or the more my life meant. If I can remember talking about, like your funeral when you were, like, when I was younger, I would say, well, if I had a funeral, like, we would talk about what our funerals were going to look like and who would come and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, thank you for those of you out there that said bless you. Today it's like, I don't even know that how many people would show up, and I don't know that I think it really matters. The people that I have in my life, I just feel like are blessings on earth. I really do. And I don't have a lot of friends. I have a very small circle. And I feel blessed to have the people that I have in my life. I have just, like, just wonderful people. It was just like tonight, like going over to our friend's house to eat dinner and then go watch the fireworks. It was, like, so easy, and it just was so nice. It just was, I don't know, it was just nice. I think it's also a reminder, too, of, like, when people are really kind and compassionate to me, and then, like, I love how that feels, and I think, like, God, people are so generously compassionate to me. It's a reminder of how it feels on the receiving end of that, to be that to other people, to remember how it feels to have to be somebody that people think of and go out of their way to think of and go out of their way to make happy or whatever. So when people do that for me, it's a reminder of, like I want to be that. I want to do that for other people. I want other people to feel that compassion, love, and kindness. I want other people to feel like they're special for a day, and I try to do that today, I really do, in trying to do all kinds of stuff to make people feel special, like people in my life to feel special or to feel happy, or to go out of my way to, make them feel like somebody loves them and cares about them. I think it's important, And I feel so blessed that I have people in my life that do that for me. I think, like, one of the things that, like, I always paint this great picture of my mom, and she was such a wise woman and all this kind of stuff, which she was. But there were some things that my mom would do from time to time, that, like, were really hard for me. And one of the things that she would talk about was, like, how lonely she was. Or she would say things just like, I just don't feel like I have a lot of people in my life that care about me or whatever, which was like, when I gave the eulogy at her church, at her funeral, I started bawling when I stood up because it was standing room only. Oh, the battery is going to die. It was standing room only at the church. And, I started by saying my mom would be so blown away, or my mom would be so impressed, or something like that, that there were so many people that were here that cared about her. But, one of the things that was really hard for me is that my mom would talk about how lonely she was, and that, like, I just don't have that many people in my life, and, and you have so many people in your life, she would say, and you always have stuff that you're doing and whatever. When I was the one making things. I was calling people up and saying, do you want to do this? And, hey, Tanya, you want a fountain pop? And do you want to go to the pool? And do you want to do that? I mean, it wasn't like I was just sitting at home waiting for the invitation to happen. Sometimes you have to make those things happen. Sometimes you have to be the person to reach out and ask for other people if they want to do stuff, And so, but I can remember, like, my aunt would, like, include my mom in almost everything that she did. And then I'm, like, taking my mom to the casino on the weekends and taking my mom to Edinburgh to go shopping and, getting my mom a hotel room at the casino. And we're going there and we're going out to dinner on the, in the winter and driving around in the summer and going and sitting on the pad. And I'm doing all this stuff. And yet the whole time we're doing it, she's saying, I don't feel like I have a lot of people in my life. And, I don't feel like people really care if I'm alone or whatever. And it would occur to me, like, you're sitting here and you're busting your butt to do all this stuff to make your mom happy, and she doesn't even, like, really recognize, like... Okay, I'm back. I honestly was only going to vlog for, like, a half an hour tonight, because I was like, I need to go home and get to bed in case... I'm going to check the weather really quick. And yes, I will get back to what I was just saying a second ago. Hold on a second. See if the weather is still supposed to be really nice tomorrow. 88% chance of precipitation. Monday is 97% chance. Tuesday is 97% chance. Wednesday, 89. I mean, it might be a pool week for me. And then Saturday, Sunday, rain. Oh, next week is nice too. Then it cools down a little bit on the weekend. So the next couple days might be pool days for me. But what I was saying was, like, my mom would say these things and she would say, like, I just don't have that many people that, care about me. And, like, I would say, well, why don't you call people up to ask them to do things? Well, I don't want to be a burden to people. And I'm like, well, I mean, people love you. Like, they want to see you, like, ask them to do things. And she'd say, well, I just, I don't have that many people that care about me. Like, you have all these people in your life that, whatever. And, like, finally... It kind of happened around the time that we had the conversation about happiness, when I looked at her that one day. Like, this was like a profound moment in our relationship. I mean, it was a moment of change in our relationship. And I looked at her and I said, I'm not responsible for your happiness. And I was like, oh my God, where did that come from? Like, I didn't even know where it came from that I said it. And she looked at me and she said, what did you say to me? And I thought she was going to be mad at me. And I said, I'm not responsible for your happiness. And my mom was like, wow, do I make you feel that way? And I said, oh yeah, oh absolutely, you make me feel like I'm responsible for making you happy. And she goes, well, I don't want to do that. She said, you're not responsible for my happiness at all. But, that started opening up conversations that my mom and I would have. And, I told her, I said, Mom, it's really hard. If you're somebody out there that complains a lot to your kids or whatever, if they are doing things for you and they are in your life and you're saying to them, like, I don't have anybody that I can do things with, and they're really making an effort, like, it hurts, right? Like, it hurts to be the best friend of somebody and your friend be constantly like, well, I wish I had more friends. Like, am I not good enough? Like, I've been in that role before too, I mean, that's why, like, my friendship with Tanya means so much to me. She posted this thing on Facebook and tagged me in it today, and it was like, she's the queen of tagging stuff on Facebook and the memes and the GIFs and stuff. But it was like, get you a friend that believes in you, boosts you up, tells you you're good enough, tells you you're unstoppable and that you can do anything. And she tagged me in it. Like, that means a lot to me that my friend today sees me as somebody that builds her up that way. But, I would say to my mom, like, Mom, like, when you say that you don't have anybody in your life and I'm standing right here and I just worked a 10-hour day and now I'm sitting in your living room and I'm tired and I'm here because I don't want you to be alone. I literally looked up and I thought it was flashing again, and I was like, are you kidding me? This is a brand new battery that I just put in there. I said, it's hard. It's really hard to sit there. This just was a field, you guys, like literally 2 weeks ago. And now I could go back and show in my vlog where I showed that field. And now there are like 10 houses over there built. That is crazy. But I said, Mom, I said, you know, like, I would say things. I mean, I said it more than once. I said it on numerous occasions. You know, like, I just worked 10 hours and I came over here because I don't want you to be alone, and I'm checking in on you, and I'm sitting here having a cup of coffee at 10 o'clock at night when I could be at home, you know, with my boyfriend, or going to do something with a friend, or God forbid, resting myself because I'm so tired all the time, you know, and you're complaining about how nobody cares about you. And yet here I am. Like, do you realize how that feels to me? Oh, I'm not talking about you. Well, it sure feels like you're talking about me. Well, oh, no, I'm not talking about you, Peter. You're awesome. You always are here for me. You're always checking on me. You go above and beyond. Well, then notice that. Because it hurts when you're the person that's showing up and all the other person can talk about is that they don't have anybody in their life. It hurts, you know? And I think that we need to acknowledge that more. I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to say one other thing, that it was so funny how this thought came into my head. This is on a totally random, different subject, but so I pulled in over here, like Morse Reservoir is over here, which is kind of like this big lake that people go, like Tawny takes her boat onto and people ski and stuff. It's in Noblesville and Cicero and stuff. Anyway, but for a long time before it had like really nice houses on it and stuff, it was just like a towny reservoir, like lake, right? And over here there's this little mart, and it's called Harbor Mart. And for some reason when I looked over, it so reminded me of Jaws. And I have to tell you guys, I was watching, so I was laying in bed with the dogs the other night. When was it? 'Cause it was when Alex went and saw that DJ. Was that last night? That was last night. And I laid down and I took a nap. And before I did, I wanted to watch Jaws. And it wasn't free on cable anymore. So I was looking it up on YouTube, which is just clips of it on YouTube. And I like watching, even though I'm terrified of sharks, I like watching the shark movies in the summer. And so I found this, it was like this 7-minute like news clip, and it was like what the movie Jaws was really based on. And it was based on these shark attacks that happened in like 1911 or 1916, where this shark like swam up this canal into this like area where these kids were fishing. And do you guys know this story? And it was like attacked people on like this one area, and then it went up like 30 miles and like another shark attacked somebody there. And within the matter of 2 weeks, there were like 8 shark attacks or something. So Jaws is like based on that loosely. And you guys, I'm literally sitting in bed and I started getting so terrified just watching this documentary about sharks. Like, sharks scare the hell out of me. And then everybody was telling me that I need to watch the movie, the USS Indianapolis, which I've actually been on that. So I barely remember it, but I didn't know anything about it. And my dad and I went to Hawaii when I was like 9 or 10. We went with like another family that he worked with. And they asked us if we wanted to go. So like my dad had like a work convention or something there. I can't remember, that we went for. And I remember specific things about the trip, but I think that's the reason why, I must have been younger than that. I think that's the reason why I've never eaten fish long before I was a vegetarian. I remember we were fishing, and we were fishing with, there was some area that we had gone to, and we were fishing with balls of bread dough, or just, maybe we weren't fishing, maybe we were just throwing them in for the fish. I think we were just throwing them in for the fish, and they were coming up to the surface, and it was these bright colored, why can't I remember what those fish are called? Not clownfish, but they're like this big. They're like round, kind of, and they're really beautiful. Anyway, we were sitting in like the end of like a dock or like a reef area or something, and we were throwing it in, and like they were coming up there and you could see them. We weren't fishing, we were just throwing that. And I remember that night for dinner, or like the next night sometime around then, my dad had mahi-mahi, and he was like, you should try this, you'll like it. And I was like, I don't want to try it, because I could just, in my head, all I could see was that fish. And my dad was like, you don't want to try it, you'll like it. I was like, no, I don't want it. And I've never eaten fish since then. And I think it's because I relate the two together. And always have, I don't know. But anyway, what was I talking about with that trip, being in Hawaii? Oh, so when we were in Honolulu, because we stayed in Honolulu, and then we were there for like 2 or 3 days. I remember I got like this plastic hula outfit that came with like a bra and everything. See how cool and accepting my dad was? And there I was in the hotel room. So my dad and I've got like this hula skirt on, and I'm like acting like I'm hula, you know, being a hula person and all this kind of stuff. And I forgot all about that. Anyway, till this moment, I had that hula skirt forever. I had it forever and ever and ever and ever. But anyway, because I can remember. Do you remember when you play like make-believe? Like when you're a kid, and we would play make-believe, we would play King Kong, and I was always so scared of that part of King Kong, when at the very beginning, like the old King Kong, with Jessica Lange, which is not even there's an older version either with Fay Ray, I think, is that her name? And so anyway, but it was the one with Jessica Lange, and they were on the boat at the beginning of it, and then King Kong takes Jessica Lange, and but like when they go over the mountain and they look down on like the people having like their ritual, oh my god, that part scared me so much when I was a kid. But we would play act that out, and I would put that hula skirt over my neck, and I would be one of those people. And then we would have somebody that was like King Kong. We used to play out. Do you remember play acting movies? Like you would pick a movie to play act, like Poltergeist. Or like you'd be like, okay, let's do this movie. Or we would do that movie. Do you remember doing that with movies? Crazy when I look back on that. That we would like we're gonna act out a movie. Who are you? We would do Ghostbusters. Oh my god, we did Ghostbusters a lot. But anyway, we would even do Jaws, like in the pool, like pulling somebody under, you know, Of course, I hated that one. So anyway, when my dad and I were there, my dad wanted to go to Pearl Harbor, and he wanted to see Pearl Harbor and all that, and we went out on the USS Indianapolis because it was one of the ships that was like sunk there in Pearl Harbor. And when you go out to it, if I remember it correctly, you go out and it goes down, and then it's like sunken, and then it comes up again on the other side, and there's like this plexiglass walkway that you like walk over, so when you're looking down you can see the sunken ship underneath you, right? Well, the story of the USS Indianapolis is that it was shot, I believe, in the middle of the night, and like all of the people, like most of the men like jumped over into the water, but because sharks were so prevalent in that area, like the majority of those men were eaten alive by sharks. And if you watch the movie Jaws, there's a part where that guy Quinn is telling the story of being like on that in there, and that he could hear people screaming, and like and like if I ever heard the stories about it, it's like they were just like treading water waiting to be saved, and then all of a sudden it'd be like 5 feet away, they'd hear something in the water, and then somebody'd be like, ah, like that, and then that was all they ever heard. And all these men were eaten by sharks. And apparently there's a movie, because somebody commented on my vlog or something about this. There's a movie they've made about this. It's supposed to be really actually pretty good. So I don't know. I haven't watched it. you guys hear about the ocean catching on fire with like the gas leak or whatever? Did you see the pictures of that? I mean, it's so sad. So sad. Unbelievable. And then all of the buildings in Florida, like I saw that. Well, we had just come back from Miami when that first building collapsed. So sad. That's not an area that we usually, I mean, that's like farther north from us, from where we were. But I was like, oh my God. And then I was talking to Tanya, and Tanya was telling me, was this last night or the night before? I can't remember. Tanya was telling me that now they're evacuating all these buildings in South Beach because they're going in and they're doing like these checks because of that building collapsing, and they're finding that these buildings are not up to par. And Tanya said this one woman, she was looking at her window, and as she was looking at her window or something, it cracked. And so like she called and they like evacuated her building like immediately. But there's like 100-some people missing, and there's like 24 people that have died in that collapsed building. So sad, it just breaks my heart. I hope it doesn't happen again. It seems like something that, like if they're not keeping those buildings up to par, some of those buildings have been around for a really, really long time. And when you walk through South Beach in Florida and stuff like that, or South Florida, like some of those buildings have been around like for a long time. Like they look old. And there's one thing in going into a building, you know, and like repairing it, and there's another thing in doing like structural repair as well, you know? I don't know. Makes me so sad. Pray for those people. I was thinking, like, how do they put the ocean out? Like, I don't even know anything about that. Like, what do they do to go in there and, you know, and all of the wildlife, the sea life that has been killed by all of that, you know? Anyway, I'm going to go over and listen to, I'm going to listen to a little bit of my audiobook now and get up and have a pool day tomorrow, hopefully. And, I hope that you guys are having an amazing weekend, no matter what you're doing. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Be kind to one another. Be compassionate to one another. Put some love out there in the world. Some love, peace, tolerance, understanding, compassion. I hate that word tolerance. I'm not saying that anymore. Love, peace. Give peace a chance. Understanding, forgiveness, kindness, compassion, peace and serenity, hope, faith, and courage, and awe, and magic out there into the world. And most importantly, love. Like it says in the 4 agreements, always lead with love. Most importantly, reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you. It just takes a text message or a phone call to say, hey, I was just thinking of you today, you know? And also, like I always say, practice random acts of kindness, but also, like I always say, don't tell anyone, just do it because it's the nice thing to do, it's the right thing to do. And, yeah, I hope you guys are having a magically amazing Sunday. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya! And I just keep feeling the urge to do it on a regular basis. So I'm going to come back to say, I've come back to say, one more I love you. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!